Lesson 7-2's essential question is, I can use proportions and ratio boxes to solve percent problems. So I want you to write this in your notes. You might need to pause the video. Part is associated with the word is. Whole is associated with the word of. Percent and 100. Let's think about what these mean. We're going to compare two things, part of a group to the whole group. The percent would mean part of the group. 100 is the entire group, the whole thing. We're going to use that idea to write our sentence into our box. So we always will have the 100 in the bottom right corner of our box. Then we have the is and the of associated with these two boxes. In other words, the part goes on the top, the whole goes on the bottom. What percent of 15 is 9? So of 15, I would write that on the bottom because that's telling me it is the whole thing. Is 9 is the clue in words that would go on the top. So once I have my three pieces of data, I'm just going to crisscross multiply, divide by the lonely guy, and I get 60. 60 what? This is always my percent box, so 60%. What percent is 32 out of 125? Is 32, that means it will go on the top of 125. 125 goes on the bottom. Crisscross multiply, divide by the lonely guy, and I get 25.6%. I got 37 out of 40 on my test. What is my percent? Well, we know that this box is blank again because it's asking for percent of 40. So where would I put my 37? It's the part I got. So I'm going to put it on the top. Crisscross multiply, divide by the lonely guy, and that's 92.5%. Here I'm finding the part. So each time it's asking me for a different thing. But as long as I know that this is my is box, this is my of box, this is my percent, and this one's always out of 100, I can do this with any problem. I don't need to know what I'm looking for. So it says what number is 70% of 30? So now I'm going to crisscross multiply, divide by the lonely guy, and I get 21 as my answer. What number is 120% of 72? The percent always goes up here. It's always out of 100. Of 72 is going to go in the bottom. Crisscross multiply, divide by the lonely guy. I get 86.4. It makes sense here that this is going to be bigger than my bottom number, since on here my top was bigger than my bottom. I want to get a 90% on this test. There are 50 problems. What do I need to score for? What do I need to get for a score? Well, 90%, that's an easy box to fill. If there are 100 problems, is that the whole group or the part of the group? 50 would be the whole group. So I'm going to crisscross multiply, divide by the lonely guy, and I get 45. That's the minimum score. I have to get 45 out of 100. All right, here I'm looking for the whole. Again, I don't need to know what I'm looking for as long as I have my little pieces of information here that I always know is of percent and 100. So 18 is 25% of what number? So sometimes the is might or the of might come afterwards, and you have to think about, does this still make sense that it's the part? Well, it does. So I'm going to put is on the top, 25%, crisscross multiply, divide by the lonely guy, and I get 72. Oops. 37% of some number is 56.24. So 37% is going to go in my percent box, and 100 always goes in this box. This is of some number. That's telling me the of down here, we don't know. Is 56.24? 56.24. Crisscross multiply. Oops. Divide by the lonely guy, and I get 152. Okay, the last one on this page 80 is 75% of what number? So 80 is 75% of what number? So that's how I should set it up. Of what number? Again, we are wondering what goes in that box. So I'm going to crisscross multiply, divide by the lonely guy, and I get 106.6 repeating. Remember, crisscross multiply means I'm multiplying the crisscross, divide by that lonely guy over here. Here's a sample MCA problem. It's kind of a tough one. Riley has 200 stamps. 35% are from Europe, 10% are from Asia, 20% are from Australia. The rest of the stamps are from North America. How many of Riley's stamps are from North America? Well, let's just look at this and figure out what percent of his stamps are from North America. And if I add up what I see here, it looks like I have 65% covered by these other countries. We know that 100% is the whole group. So if I take 100% minus my 65, I'm left with 35%. I want to know out of his 200 stamps, what is 35%? So 200 is all of his stamps. 35% would go up in here. Crisscross multiply, divide by the lonely guy, and you should get 70 stamps. All right, here's a few more. Pause the video and try these. All right, to set these up, remember, we're using our percent box of 60, tells me it's on the bottom. Crisscross multiply, divide by the lonely guy, and I get 24. What percent is 47 of 68? I don't see a percent in here at all, so that must mean I'm finding my percent one. Is 47 would mean on the top, of 68 is on the bottom. So I'll take 47 times 100, divide by 68, and I get about 69.1. That one kind of goes on for a while. What is 30% of 50? Well, my percent's an easy box to fill. Of 50 is telling me that's the whole group, so that's on the bottom. So I'll crisscross multiply, divide by the lonely guy. 50 times 30 divided by 100, and I get 15. All right, that's the end of our video.